Discussion. Favoring, opposed?
No.
Item carries. I have a couple of noes. Councilman Brown and Councilmember Sullivan. Voting.
Okay, item 25 is an order.
Discussion. Favoring, opposed?
No.
Item carries. Councilmember Brown voting no.
Item 26 is an order.
Councilmember Adams for discussion.
Thank you so much. On items 25 and 26 are both are items that have come before the Housing and Community Development Committee, and I just want to commend, of course, Department of Neighborhoods as well as our Housing and Community Development for looking at ways that we can get monies available for demolition. And so I know that there's going to be some concerns of what buildings to be torn down in what particular districts, but I just want to encourage Department of Neighborhoods to interact with the various district council members to provide whatever lists that are deemed necessary so they can know particularly what buildings that are possibly torn down. And I know we cannot do this, Mayor, until the buildings go before the particular panels in the future. And I think that's coming up around about November. But I would like to encourage the Department of Neighborhoods to make sure that they communicate with the district council members so they can provide them what particular list that's available, be it single family or multifamily, whatever it is down the line, so they can be in tune on what buildings that are being torn down. So I just want to commend them for looking for ways and having the monies available so we can go ahead and make sure that we rid these communities of the particular blighted buildings that are in the community. So thank them for bringing these items before the committee and to having extensive communication about the particular fundings that's coming out of HUD for demolition. Thank you.
Appreciate your comments, Councilmember, and the Director is committed to meeting with the council members to get that information. Thank you. Councilmember Green.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. I was going to request a delay a week for this item because I have not received the information from the Department of Neighborhoods. I know I've received some information, but again, not the information, and it would just be my request. I'm not going to delay it, request for a delay only because I understand there's time with regard to the dollars associated with it, but you know, it really would be helpful that prior to voting on items dealing with, you know, the tearing down the homes in particular districts across the city, that we would know specifically, you know, what homes they would be and what districts would be affected. On the RCA, it had that our district would be affected, but when I got the list, we found that there were no homes on the list. So again, that conflicting information puts people like me in a bad position when it comes down to making sure whether or not we're being responsive. So again, you know, I'm going to hold my nose and not say anything on this one, but at the end of the day, hopefully we can have better communication on issues like this. Thank you.
Good points, Councilmember. We apologize for not getting all the information to you and the inaccuracy on who was being impacted. So, and I appreciate you allowing this item to move forward. So we'll make sure we get you all the complete information as you requested. Any other speakers? Seeing none, moving to a vote. Favoring, opposed, item carries.
Item 27 is an order.
Discussion. Favoring, opposed,
No.
item carries. Councilmember Sullivan voting no.
Item 28 is an order.
Discussion. Favoring, opposed, item carries. Councilmember Sullivan voting no.
Item 43. Oh, I'm sorry, 29. It was 43 last year. Sorry. 29 is an order.
And for procedural purposes, the administration would entertain a motion to refer this back to the administration. Councilmember Noriega.
Thank you. It gives me pleasure to suggest that we refer this back.
Is there a second?
Thank you.
Discussion. Favoring, opposed, motion carries. Councilmember Adams.
Next item.
Oh. Councilmember Adams for discussion.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a particular item that we discussed extensively on last week about Crown Pacific, actually moving company, to move persons who are relocating from house to house and to move their furniture. And one of the big concerns that we had on council was to address the issue of MWE participation. And one thing I just want to commend administration on, as well as OVO and housing, to really work with the prime to make sure that he adhered to the rules. And it's sad that we had to go in deep discussion to a possible no vote on a company for them to say, okay, we want to comply. So I just want to ask my colleagues, those of you who, some of you had a strong no opinion on last week, I ask you to support this item, because the people who really were suffering this is the families, because of a bad actor, what he chose not to do. So we have to move this item forward so we can actually get the families moved back into their homes. The holidays are coming. And so I want to thank the administration for the support on the 1 week delay on this particular item. So I will be supporting this item, and I understand that OVO as well as housing, when we're dealing with particular funding sources, we have to make sure that we follow particular rules. And so I think that the message has been gotten. And so hopefully that as we move forward, we continue to monitor these particular contracts in relations to housing and any type of vendor that do business with the city of Houston. So I will be supporting this item. I'll ask my colleagues as well to support this item as we continue to move forward. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Wong.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and I see that Director Neil Ratcliffe is here with the Housing Department. I know that you came in later and after this item has been years already, or at least a year, and you have tried to work hard on this in the last week. And I've seen that the vendor here also worked with the subcontractors trying to reach the goal, the MBWE goal. I know that I'm not very satisfied with the works they have done in the past, but consider the needs of the families now, as well as their good faith, trying very hard as the chair of the housing department, the housing committee here, Madam Warner Adams. I think that we have to move forward this item. So we support this item today, not because you already reached the goal, but because we see that you have tried the best you could, the good faith you have done for the last 2 weeks, and we want to emphasize that please keep that up, keep the pace up. We want the MBWE goal to be achieved in the next bid that you are going to work with the city of Houston. We vote for this item just because we don't want the delays of the needed families right now. Thank you.
Councilmember Lasser.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to join with my colleague, Councilmember Adams and Wong. I too will be voting on this matter today. I was very concerned last week about the discussion around the table. And one of the things that concerned me most is that we seem to have a voluntary program that sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. And it seems to me that part of the discussion that we were attempting to have around the table was what do we do as an administrative role and as a legislative role to encourage those people that have actually applied for the program, that they have an access to the success of the program. I'm heartened by the discussions that I've had with Housing Community Development and the administration on moving this forward. So therefore, I think the message and the discussion has been heard, and I think it was a valuable discussion, and I look forward to supporting this and moving forward. Thank you.
Councilmember Noriega.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. The question of how we handle issues like affirmative action or business opportunities or small business is a public policy issue that we have a responsibility to discuss. The tracking of whether or not companies do what they're supposed to do is an administrative issue, and that's about us having some kind of rule or statute on the books that they are expected to comply with, and they're very different issues. I think as we go forward, continuing to discuss justice and fairness and what should or shouldn't be and what is opportunity and what is not is a worthwhile discussion. But I'm just serving notice that I'm really tired of talking about companies that may or may not be complying with these requirements. And as long as we have these on the books, I'm going to be very concerned if companies don't meet their goals. And I don't like to surprise folks, So I'm serving notice. Thank you.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Bradford.
Thank you, Mayor. I join you in that declaration of
Please.
notice. You know, we had what I think was a serious breakdown in the implementation of our MBE program here. And sometimes things simply, they happen, and it's not what has happened, it's how we choose to respond to what has occurred. And I want to commend the Director of Housing, Mr. Neil Ratliff here in OBO's office. You all did a really good job of stepping forward. One, acknowledging that there is a problem. Many times those involved, they won't simply acknowledge, they dig the hole deeper. They won't acknowledge that there's a problem. OBO and the Housing Department stepped up and said, you know, there's a problem here. Now what can we do reasonably within policy, within law, to protect homes that have been built from being vandalized, to help get citizens, many of them senior citizens, move into their homes as they were anticipating for the holiday season. How can we cure that? They went to work and worked very diligently, and I think came forward with a very reasonable resolution to what was a serious problem, because we have an MBE program in place. We're going to implement it, and we're going to do sanctions when sanctions are proper, and or we're not going to do that. It doesn't surprise me that most of the contracts that go through, they are done properly. That's what's supposed to happen. And when some of those come through that are not within the guidelines, we need to do an inquiry. And it's not going to surprise me when we do that inquiry, in most instances, there will be justification for the failure and no need to sanction. But every now and then you'll do inquiry and you'll find justification for sanctioning. In this case, when the due diligence was in fact completed, there was diligent inquiry, it was not determined, we were not able to determine whether anyone had failed to perform what they should have done or not. It looked like the sub had done some things properly, it looked like the prime had done some things properly, just that there was a breakdown. But again, my commentary is to commend the Housing Department and OBO who worked diligently to cure a problem that was there and that has happened here, and I shall join in the vote of yes. But as Councilmember Norega said, you know, going forward, I simply would rather us not get to this point, and would encourage the administration, you know, for the third time on the record, look at the transition team report that dealt with these particular issues. If we were to implement that transition team report, or part of the report that was chaired by Renee Logans and Ed Truminister, they did a really good job and a lot of work. It included provisions for schedules, utilization schedules, where the contracts are monitored, the subs, they know when they're going to be engaged during the contractual period, it's not a short notice, etc. So I would encourage the administration to pronounce if that transition report is going to be implemented or not. If parts of it are going to be implemented, which parts of it will be implemented would be very helpful. We don't get to this point again. But job well done, departments on working out an issue. I thank you, and Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Pro Tem. Councilmember Brooks.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to just say to Housing and Office of Business Opportunities, good job, great job. We met, as you know, and we spoke frankly to each other, and I didn't bite my tongue at anything. And unlike Councilmember Norega, I'm just not going to stand for it too many more times anymore. But we promised, Housing and Office of Business Opportunity promised to do better. We recognize the issues. And I was very proud of that. And we said that we would work together to make sure that this does not happen again by monitoring and doing the things that's necessary. And maybe even putting more pressure on directors, of the department directors, that they would be responsible, since this contracts are coming out of their department, that they would monitor those things closely. So that, I remember Councilmember Adams said a few minutes ago that the other company, you know, the people who were moving out of their homes and everything else were being deprived, and you're correct on that. But the MBWEs are being deprived also of funding that they can also maybe take care of their families. So I want to thank you, Mayor. I want to thank you, Housing. I want to thank you, OBO, and continue to do a good job.
Thank you, council members. Moving to a vote. Favoring, opposed?
No.
Now,
Okay, I have a few notes. Show me some hands, please. Councilmember Brown, Green and Councilmember Sullivan voting no. Item passes.
That completes the items listed on the agenda.
Councilmember Pennington.